Hey guys, um, I just joined this community and this guy called Herman has asked me a very beautiful question about self-employment. So the questions he's asked me is, I'm curious about being self-employed as a software engineer, and he talks about different ways of doing it, but I'll talk to you about being self-employed as a software engineer. Now, from what I understand, you're a university student. Now, if you don't have any industry experience as a software engineer, I highly recommend you do 1 or 2 years at a startup if you can. And the reason why startups are really good is that they are not known, they are not big companies. So they actually want to hire talent, but the talents, they need to be relatively cheap. So that it's going to be about, in the UK, it's about 40K at the moment, I believe. And all they want is actually your ability to learn and absorb, and you being a sponge. You just want to, you're so enthusiastic about life. And if you go to a startup, you'll be in charge and responsible for a lots of things. Like they'll just give you everything. They'll throw it at you, and you'll be like, all you have to say is yes, I'll solve it. Because in your manager's perspective, you just want the problems to go away. And you saying yes makes it go away for him for the time being. And then it's your job to figure it out. And once you do that over and over again, you will become responsible for so many projects and you'll be able to build from scratch anything you want. So I definitely think it's definitely worth getting a year or two under your belt if you want to be a software engineer. Like just because you know what the industry does. And when you do the industry, you'll learn that everyone's just making up as they go along. So you could definitely start something now if you want. This is me assuming you have no industry experience, no coding real projects experience. If you have projects, if you have all these other things, show it to me and all that kind of stuff. But if you're just very vanilla, you just have a degree and you don't know if you can actually really code a real thing, I would recommend 1 or 2 years in industry so you can learn on someone else's time and money. That's something that you don't have. Right now you have your time and your money, and right now, if you go to another job, you can learn from other people's money. People pay you to learn. So you should go learn there, like that. Then you mentioned that is it worth getting a consultation gig, and is it worth getting or making an app, essentially, or making plugins or whatever. And the key here that I found is I'm trying to build an app, but actually I started consultating because consultation gives you don't need a video conferencing software. You just need Google Meet, Zoom, or whatever, and you just talk to someone, a client, and be like, "Hey, consultating." Whereas an app takes months, years, maybe 3 years to build something. With an app, you need to make a minimal viable product, find a user base that wants to use your product, and then sell it to them, and then use it and iterate. You need to find someone whose problem is so frequent, either very frequent but low problem, or very frequent problem and is very high need for them. And if you find that community, then people want to use your app because it's a very high problem for them and it's very frequent, and your problem solves it, and they will use a shit product. And from that shit product, you iterate to make it into a better product. Same with the consultation, to be fair. You start with the client and you make your things better by doing it. So I can only tell you my journey of what I've done. I've worked for 4 years in startups and built websites and apps and tested them from scratch. And with that, I had the ability to know how to make it. But actually, the thing I went away from was that actually I automated processes. And from there, I realized that business is also just a process. You're managing your health is also just a process. And so if I can automate something very hard, like computers, can I automate myself? Can I automate my business? And that is the philosophy that I came up with. The only thing you need to weigh on is an app takes a lot of time, commitment, and it's no point doing it until you have good signals saying that there's like 100 people wanting that app. For consultation, you can do it right now if you have something of value. It doesn't even have to be software. It could be your life, your health, your whatever. My recommendation, if you're starting out, do both. Make an app on your spare time. Do some consultation to get some cash flow in. And then you don't even have to get a job. But I recommend you get a job in a year in a startup because you'll be given so much responsibility. and then because they're just putting out fires all the time, and you get paid as well. That's my take on it. I would I love the self-employment life. It's a bit isolating, and hence we got this community, luckily. But yeah, I hope you found that information valuable. See you in a minute.